Hey, welcome to the 15th floor. We've just finished recording our reaction to Lift. Before I actually play the video, I just want to let you know a couple of things that Jacob now knows that he didn't know before he listened to the song. Number one, it is my birthday this week, and I have been talking for a long time about how I'm going to play my favorite song. Yes, Lift is my favorite Radiohead song. You will have no doubt about it if you watch this entire video. I'll talk about why. Please stick around and listen to that. It's personal, but I'm happy to share it with you guys and hopefully hear similar stories from you. The second thing is I am breaking my own rule. We don't play live versions. We don't play other versions. We always play the released studio version. I'm breaking that rule. I am playing the Minidiscs hacked version, and you'll hear the version I'm playing because there are actually a couple of different versions of it. I think it has the best energy. I think it's just the best version of this song. Don't hate me because I'm calling that audible. It is a birthday present to myself. So just so you know, when we start listening to Lift and it's not the version you're familiar with from the music video or from OKNOTOK, we're doing it because that was my choice. So there you go. Enjoy. Welcome to the 15th Floor, a Radiohead reaction podcast where a Gen X father tries to convince his Gen Z son that Radiohead is the greatest band of all time. By introducing him to Radiohead songs one song at a time, he reacts after hearing that song for the first time, and I get to gush about it for the zillionth time. We are back in front of the doors. That's not a pinup, that's not a hang-up, that is, we moved back into this room. We might not be here long, but we were able to talk the owner of the house into letting us use this room for a little bit longer instead of the craft room, which is what it wants to be. Yep. It's trying to be a craft room, but it's really a podcast room. Clearly. Of course. Wrap it up summer. We will get to a role reversal probably next, and maybe another viewer request after that, and maybe another The Smile song after, maybe another Radiohead song put in there somewhere. Today, we are going to 2017's OK Not OK, but from the much older time of the OK Computer times, we are doing Lift. Great song, Lift. Lift was requested by Muhammad Yayavi, It Me, and Keith Woods. I don't have much to say about the song. We'll talk a little bit about it afterwards.
Yeah, you have nothing to say about this song.
Oh, it's I can tell you. So Lift was one of those songs that they played around OK Computer time, and in 1996 is when they first performed it live. And it became kind of a really popular song, kind of the one everybody was kind of waiting for, and then it never showed up on OK Computer, and then Kid A was so different, it became clear that it wasn't going to show up, and it kind of disappeared for a while. It resurfaced in 2002-ish, where they started playing it with some alternate lyrics and a little bit slower. But it really just got lost to the internet. But the 2017 version is the official studio version. In 2019, some other versions were released on Minidiscs Hacked. We'll talk a little bit more about all of that after we hear Lift. Do you know what a lift is? If
Elevator.
You're British, it's an elevator. So just in case you're not from the United States or you're from somewhere else, we don't ever call an elevator a lift.
Stopped it at the intro.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
I haven't done that in a while. But I don't know. It, like the beginning, like of that intro was kind of weird because it was kind of not super cryptic, but it was like kind of like just the way the instruments would play. Like it was kind of like a scratchy record. But I don't know. That's kind of what it sounded like.
Didn't know where it was coming from.
Yeah, it was like mysterious.
Sounds like someone's kind of playing it on their little Casio keyboard. Yeah.
Yep. And then it just kind of like. There's a part where it kind of comes alive, and then the guitar comes in, and then the drum comes in, and it's a weird way to start an intro, but I guess it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that intro when we're done.
Is the place? Sit down. You say, give it a step.
something I've noticed is that he's not singing like as extreme as the other instruments are. Like that guitar is kind of like really rocky. Like it's more
I feel like it's
extreme. Like
Okay.
yeah, just
like almost more than his vocals are.
yeah, like his vocals. I feel like if you made the guitar, like this could be like a nice like a quiet song. Like if you change the instruments, like just because he's singing kind of calmly while the other instruments are kind of like rocking out, and that's pretty weird but unique.
This recording of it is a little noisy, and they've done other versions of it that aren't quite as overwhelming from every direction. The bass, that bass just drives the direction of the song, and works counterintuitive to his vocals at times. And then he gets into that chorus, and then you get to the real star of this song, and that is Johnny Greenwood's Korg Prophecy, that a keyboard that he's playing. So when you hear him saying, because it's time, and you hear that, that's the Korg, and it's beautiful. And he's doing that with his right hand. With his left hand, he's playing what you hear is those strings. They're not strings; it's a little MIDI board. But he's doing that. That's all coming from Johnny, whose keyboards are the real musical stars. Oh, it's hard to say that though, with that bass so good, and the rhythm guitar so good, and the vocals so good.
There is the place. Remember me. I'm the face you always see. You were stuck in a live in the belly of a whale at the bottom of the ocean. The smell of chemistry, the fish are burning. Empty out your pockets, 'cause it's time to come home. The smell of chemistry, the fish are
You can't keep your cool while I'm rocking out?
Too
much.
That was
Too much. I think I was off the screen. Yeah. Did it interrupt you? Do we need to hear it again?
I think we're good.
Are you sure?
I think we're good. Because just like after the first chorus and verse, you kind of like pointing out the chord prophecy. Like I was able to hear it more clearly, and I was able to recognize it in the second chorus. And like, I feel like I can enjoy a song more if I know what's going on.
The thought is different than what a lot of people suggest, which is don't give away too much. Don't talk too much about the song. But you have responded well to when I point out some nuances of a song, and then you hear it in the song and go, oh yeah, I do like that.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I'm going to keep doing it when appropriate. What would you give it as a score?
8.5.
8.5?
Maybe a 9. I don't know.
Thought it was almost as good as you?
Yep.
Pretty close to that era.
Yeah. It's got that rock area.
Very rock.
Yeah.
Very rock.
The good
Very
stuff.
Brit pop. Yeah, very good.
Yep.
Congratulations to Keith Woods, who correctly predicted my favorite song, which is Lift. It is my birthday next week. I didn't want to wait till after my birthday to do my favorite song, because then people would be like, Jacob, you would definitely have known it was my favorite song. You kind of had the idea that's what it was.
Yep.
And I didn't want to just overhype it and say, you've got to love this because it's my favorite song. I love Lift. And I used to think, yeah, it's got to be one of my favorites. But in the last couple of years, especially since Minidisc Hacked was released and we got different versions of Lift, including the version which I'm going to talk about right now, it has become my overwhelming favorite Radiohead song and maybe my overwhelming favorite piece of music. Really, piece of music. I'm not kidding. I'm going to try and waste your time and mine and describe why that is. The studio version that was finally released on OK Not OK is a slower version and not near as rock and roll. It's got a great, you hear that chord prophecy, you hear that bass, it's very good. It's very fulfilling, but it is not, I think, their best version. And because it's my favorite song, because it's my birthday, I am pulling a wild card, and I'm playing the Lift version at its liftiest. Let me tell you why this is my favorite song, and you'll have to bear with me. If you're a Radiohead fan, please listen. You might not love this. I don't care. I heard Lift in 1996 when they just snuck it in barely during their Alanis Morissette tour. And I remember hearing it and thinking, that's a great song. And this is going to get real personal and real heavy, so just deal with it. At the time, my sister was getting sicker. She had been sick for a number of years, and I was not really okay with that. And when they played that song, the lyrics, "It's time to come home," almost made me cry. I mean, when he did that part that I got all excited about, he did it much like that. To my memory, he did it much like that, where he kind of a descant at the end, and he goes up when Johnny's part goes up, and the message, "It's time to come home," immediately made me think of my sister in that concert, and I thought it might be okay if my sister just has to go home. And I know that's really heavy stuff, but I thought it was beautiful. And forget the fact that the lyrics are the smell of air conditioning, the fish are belly up. That has nothing to do with time to come home. Maybe not. But it hit me hard, and I couldn't wait for Lift to come out on OK Computer. When OK Computer was being released, I was so excited for Lift. OK Computer came out, no Lift. And then Kid A came out. And Kid A was such a departure from what Radiohead had already done, I knew I was never going to hear Lift again. This was not pre-internet, but certainly Napster was just becoming a thing. And I figured we were never going to hear this song again. They left it behind. And I really actually kind of forgot about it. The only part I remembered was those lyrics, "It's time to come home," and how it made my soul, it spoke to my heart. Anyway, cut to 2017, and we find out it's going to be on OK Not OK. And I remembered, oh yeah, Lift, of course, here it is. And I heard the version that's on that, and it was beautiful. And I remember, and I thought, that's the song, but that doesn't sound right. And I hate to say they did it wrong, like they produced the wrong version. The version that's on OK Not OK is a version that was recorded back in the day, but it wasn't quite exactly how I remembered it. And I loved it, and I was glad we had it. And then 2019, we got Minidiscs Hacked, and suddenly several different versions were showing up on the internet. None of them actually released other than if you got it on Minidiscs Hacked. This version that I played for Jacob is the version that most reminds me of what I think I remember from that concert. The year after I saw that concert where they performed Lift, my sister passed away. In 2017, that was a year after my brother passed away. And so the message of time to come home, calling someone home, telling someone it's been tough, it's time to come home, is a huge message for me. And you can find a completely different meaning in it, and that's okay. But for me, it's a connection with people I love through music I love, whether they ever heard the song or not, which I know they didn't. But to me, it's communication with their souls to my soul. Every time I hear that, it's time to come home, which is why I react the way I do, a little silly. When I heard that version again, first of all, when I heard it on OK Not OK, it made me fall in love with Radiohead all over again, every which way. I mean, it was just right after a moon-shaped pool. And when I heard that, I was like, this is why these guys are so awesome at what they do. When we got the Minidiscs hacked version, I think I wept. I honestly think I heard that song and welled up in tears. And I watched live versions since then because, like I said, I just kind of forgot about it. I could have looked it up on YouTube probably 10 years ago, and there were live versions of it, I'm sure. But it never crossed my mind to even look it up. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad it took me 20 years to finally hear it again. And when I heard it, it was one of those moments where you hear something that is singing the story of your life. You go to every thing that it reminds you of, every beautiful time in your life, which is what heaven is. I know I'm being crazy now, but it's what heaven is. Heaven is everything beautiful you've ever witnessed, everything beautiful you've ever experienced, and you experience it again with people you love eternally. Whether you have a religious belief of heaven or not, forget religion here for a second and just understand that's what nirvana, euphoria, heaven, the best place your mind can go. And I honestly think that this song takes me there. And every time I hear it now, I am absolutely moved by different parts. It's ridiculous to talk about it like Mozart or Beethoven or Elvis Presley or the Beatles, or the way that some of these historically beautiful songs have changed direction in people's lives. And this is Lift. It didn't even make it onto a studio album. Most people have no idea it exists, but it exists. It might be that I was raised in the 80s and grew up in the 80s and 90s, so it speaks more to my musical soul. It's a beautiful song. It is my favorite song. I love Lift. I encourage you to listen to it more and more. And I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to you. I encourage you to listen to it over and over again. This version, all versions, this will make you appreciate Radiohead. It will make you appreciate the songs, and it will make you appreciate music. People talk about what is he talking about exactly, and you can come up with a lot of different things for Lift. It is so depressing, it's uplifting. There's something uplifting about the whole song, but something eternally depressing about the message. Really, isn't it about, I think, it's the story of Ebenezer Scrooge or George Bailey. Their lives are going lousy and miserable, then they have an experience that tells them to change the way they see life. When they wake up and everything is better and they're wonderful and happier than they've ever been, their life hasn't changed one bit. Nothing has changed for them. The only thing that changes for Ebenezer Scrooge is his outlook on life. The only thing that changes for George Bailey is his outlook on life. And then his neighbors bring him a bunch of money, and that really helps. But besides that, the going from complete depression and melancholy and hate to love, compassion, and a completely different outlook on the world was just perspective. That's what being stuck on a lift is. You've been stuck in a lift. You're rescued from the belly of the whale. You're rescued from the lift, and life has not changed, except you've emerged. Whatever was bad wasn't as bad as you thought. Lighten up, Squirt. Yep, it still sucks, but I like it. It's a lot better than being stuck in a lift, or stuck in a rut, or stuck wherever I am that makes me unhappy. Make sense?
Yep.
No one is going to stick around for that long of an explanation of why I love Lift. I hope you did stick around for that. Let's see what the kids drew. He has a picture of a guy up there that says, "I'll lift you up." Looks like he's going to do a cannonball on top of that other guy. He said he's looking down, the other guy is looking up. He was going to draw a rope, but he decided not to. And then her drawing says simply, "Time to come home." Perfect that's what she heard, because that is the message I got from Lift the first time I heard it. Lift highlights everybody's ability. The drums sound great in it. Colin, listen to it again. Listen to that bass. The bass drives the energy of the song until that powerful chorus, which just builds crescendo to Ed O'Brien clearly singing his name as the backup. There's a theory online that Ed, when he sings backup, he often just sings his name. Listen to that song again. It sounds like he's just singing Ed. And then you get Tom singing The Smell of Air Conditioning, and then you get that beautiful keyboard. And all the while, those strings come in really heavy in that second verse. They're not strings, of course, it's a keyboard. But Johnny just is so dialed in. It's so funny to me that this band knew this song was such a hit that they refused to release it. I mean, and that's not, they weren't being jerks. It was so popular live that when they got into the studio, they just kind of thought, we can't make this any better than it is. We're just doing the same thing. They tried different versions of it, and they just felt like they were being pressured to making this song the perfect thing that everybody knew it was. So instead of producing it perfectly, they just took a step back and said, that's not the direction we're going. A comment from last time, I'll do this one quickly because I've talked so much. Growing Melancholy was one of 2 people who mentioned something like this. To be honest, you should have just started with their earlier work and moved forward. Jumping all over the place like this is just boring for the viewer, but more importantly, boring for your son who clearly has very different taste in music. I picked the meaner version of that comment. I'm sorry we're boring you. I know. If you were bored then, wait till you hear my explanation on Lift. No, we decided a long time ago we're not gonna do a chronological. That seems more boring to me, knowing exactly what song is coming and doing it chronologically. I skip all over the place because I'm trying to show my son that the library, the body of work of Radiohead is pretty flawless. And instead of showing him or teaching him the story of Radiohead through their music and their progression, I just want him to enjoy their music, to come to the realization that whether he thinks they're the greatest band of all time, he can be wrong about that. It's fine. Let your kids be wrong. You just do the best you can to guide them to truth and let them learn from their mistakes. But hopefully the truth is part of your growth as we go on. Thanks for the suggestion, but no, we're going to keep doing it the way we're doing it. But thank you so much for your comment. It makes sense that you have that opinion. He does have different taste in music, and thank goodness, right? When I'm dead and gone, you think Jacob will listen to Lift and not cry and miss his dad? Wrong. No, don't do that.
I liked other songs more, but just that emotional connection you have. It's just, I like, I'm not going to say what song because no one really knows what it is, but there's this song that's not that good. Like most people that hear, like, it's a fine song, but that song like connects to me in like a personal way.
Yeah.
So it makes it like way better. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's what happens to you. And this was a good song anyway, but like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. I see the emotional connection. I see why this is your favorite.
Find the music that you have connection to and write it out. And it doesn't matter what other people think about it. If it's not Radiohead, it's not the best music, but I mean, at least you've got the right idea. Continue to share your comments. Any personal experiences you have with any Radiohead song that you love sharing. I mean, I know it's a public forum, but I love hearing people's personal experiences with songs. People have shared a lot of those, and those are my favorite comments when people just talk about, I listened to this on the way home from work, or I'd listened to this when I broke up with my girlfriend, or whatever the case may be. There's reasons why we have emotional attachments to song, and I love when someone has an emotional attachment to a song that I love. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, hit that notification button. Continue to love one another, keep listening to music together. You're now leaving
the 15th floor.